Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 71. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I'm your host, Todd Oxtra, joined by my Canadian co-host, the Canadian Mark Carabin.
Woo. How you doing?
Good, Mark. How are you?
Oh, I'm pretty good. It's a fun, exciting vote night in Canada. So we're having our big election. It's probably not as entertaining, I'll say. Let's leave it at that. Maybe as the U.S. election last time, but it's some exciting stuff. We'll see what happens, I guess, tomorrow. And so any of our Canadian listeners, hope you got out and voted and had some fun that way.
Is your prime minister up for election?
Yes.
Okay. Good luck, Justin.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes.
I'm not really sure how this one's going to go. He could kind of, still get in as prime minister, or he could get ousted. I think it's going to be a pretty close race, so it will be kind of entertaining to see. But I guess by the time people listen to this, we'll already know the results, and we could either have the same prime minister or a new one, or we'll have some sort of change up in government, I'm sure. So it'll be interesting. But by the time people are listening to this, here we go.
Excellent. It's almost as exciting as my fantasy football league. I'll find out if I was a winner or loser tonight, unless the Green Bay Packer running back doesn't score like 52 points, which is probably not going to happen. But we'll go from there.
In my book, Todd.
I would hope so, Mark. Yes, I have not felt like a winner this weekend with my Vikings not winning. Oh, well. But before we talk about too much politics and sports, we're going to talk about video games. And we brought on a new guest to join us on the co-op couch. And that is Mr. Keith. I'm too old for this. Blank, blank, blank. Mitchell. I took that. Yeah. I took that directly from your Twitter. So, why not?
I took that from Danny Glover. From
I thought I recognized that stuff. Well, very
exactly
good.
Where I got that from.
Well, Keith is not as old as me, so I guess I'm way too old for this blank.
I finally found somebody who was older than me in this space. I feel awesome. I love it. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, my wisdom exceeds all in the gaming space at this point, I guess, or just I've experienced more, but maybe not any wiser. Oh, well. Keith, tell everybody who you are and what you do.
All right, so my name is Keith D. Mitchell. Some people may know me as Shadow Haxer. Those who know that name know a little bit of history of that. I am the editor-in-chief of a gaming geek culture outlet called the Outerhaven, or Outerhaven Productions. And there, I pretty much do everything. Write reviews, news, keep the guys in order. But, ultimately, take care of the family, because at the end of the day, that's all we are. We're a family. We're doing something we're passionate about, something that we love to do. Other than that, I am an IT professional of 25 plus years. I've been at the current company for about 16 years. It's driving me crazy, and that's why I have all this gray hair. I'm a father of two. One is a daughter of 19 going on 20, which is why I have more of this gray hair.
I was just going to say, that's got to add to the gray hair.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God. The moment she was born, I was like, oh, God, I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose it. I haven't gone bald yet.
I see new ones popping up every day. It's just...
It's something with kids. Every day it's something new, or it's like, Dad, I don't want to be here. I hate you. I'm like, okay, I'm sorry.
You're welcome for giving you life. Yeah.
And then the next day come back, oh, I love you so much, Dad. And it's like, what do you want? You must want something.
It's the hormones. It's the hormones. I mean, it really is. My son's 15, so I am in that mode as well. But the first one, I imagine, is the one that takes all the grief, kind of ways for the second one, right? Because I was a second child. So my parents were kind of worn out when I came about.
Oh, yeah. The second one, my son was born. It was a breeze. Like, oh, yeah, we know what we're doing here. Yeah, we got this. And he was a boy. Like, majority of the siblings and children in my family are boys. So I was like, oh, yeah, boys are easy. Girls are, wow, watch out. That's a problem right there. But I love her. I love both my kids equally, even though they drive me crazy. They keep me on my toes one way or another.
They do, and they really make you mad when they start really destroying you at gaming, because I've gone through that now. My son is a Destiny master. I am just a plebe now, Tim, so I'll accept it.
My kids will not play games with me because they don't like getting their butts beat.
Oh, nice.
Here's a fun story. So I don't know if I should say it or not, but I'm a big fan of from software games. I'm a big fan of roguelites and the Soulsborne games, so Dark Souls, Demon Souls, things like that. I love Bloodborne. So I had my son try it. He played it for like 10 minutes. Like, oh, I'm done, Dad. I can't play this game. And I'm laughing. I'm like, really? This game is easy. Watch this. He's like, I can't do this, Dad. So yeah, I still one up my kids when it comes to gaming.
Excellent.
One of my highest gaming accomplishments is finally beating the first boss in Bloodborne and retiring at that point. I'm like, I've done it.
Oh no, you've got to play the whole game.
I know that's been a challenge, but I'm like, okay, I think I spent way too many hours just trying to beat that first level, but I totally understand the addiction to just get better and better. So
but
awesome.
You know what? I'll say this: I understand that those games are not for everybody. At one point in my life, I was like, you must play these games. And as I got older, I realized, you know what? Maybe these games aren't for everybody. There's just a lot of challenge and foresight and learning bosses and learning enemies and knowing that you're going to die eventually over and over and over until you get better. And some people aren't used to that. But then again, I go back and go, well, I guess you should have never played the first Mega Man either, because that was harder.
Until you learn the code where you could hit the start button to slow down the lecture. Yeah.
That's a cheat. I remember that.
Oh yeah. One of the first cheats ever. Loved it. But yeah, I mean, we are all sorts of gamers, as you'll hear about what we've been playing. But before what we've been playing, we need a little bit more history with you, Keith.
Okay.
So we played a little game called Buy, Rent, Return. Apparently, I stole this from my good friend Richard Davenport's podcast where he does movies, which is basically buy, rent, erase, which is funny because I don't think you actually erase movies digitally. They just go away. But oh well, we're going to use that again. So this week, though, we're going to be playing what we're going to call sequels, and we're going to call it sequels of systems. So we're going to be talking about the sophomore systems of 3 platforms. So we are going to go with the Sega Genesis, we are going to go with the PlayStation 2, and we are going to go with the Xbox 360.
So I have to rank them?
You have to buy one, you have to rent one, and one you have to return.
Oh, man. Xbox 360, Sega Genesis, and PlayStation 2. Man,
that's a tough
that is a hard one because those are some of my favorite consoles. Oh man. Okay. I would say return to Sega Genesis. I would say buy the Xbox 360 and rent the PlayStation 2.
All right.
Did you have and is that because they're your favorites? Is because you liked more games on those systems?
Yeah, I went off the games that were on those platforms that I enjoyed the most. And the Xbox 360, when it came out, it had banger after banger after banger. PlayStation 2, it was pretty cold in the beginning, got better towards the end, but Xbox 360 was bar hands down the best system. Sega Genesis has a lot of nostalgia, but I played most of my games on Super Nintendo anyway, so okay.
That's kind of how I'm feeling too. I was a Super Nintendo kid 100%. So I think returning the Sega would kind of make sense for me, and renting the PS2, same kind of deal. I was back then 100% more like a GameCube, that kind of generation, I guess. So my brother had the PS2, so I like to kind of borrow it from time to time and play the games and kind of cherry pick what I wanted. So that was that makes sense as a rental for me. And then the 360, like you said, man, that was
it had too many great games.
That got me back into like really gaming, like university. I bought a secondhand Xbox 360. I was really into like the original Xbox, like a couple of friends had that, and it was just like, what do you mean it's online? And what do you mean you can do this? And like Xbox Live was such a cool thing.
Yep.
And I almost bought one of those, but when the 360, I started hearing about that, and I was like, no, I'll wait. I'm going to wait. So I did. And like Gears of War, Halo, like just all those games that were just, like you said, just I'll piss off Joseph Moran right here and say AAA bangers all around. Joseph, that one's just for you. Hope you're listening.
The Xbox 360 had some of the best racing games of all time with the Gotham racing games.
Yeah.
Love them.
And not only just like and games that you can't play anymore too, like the Rock Band, Guitar Hero, all that kind of stuff. Like that
Capcom
was
versus SNK.
oh, man. Yeah, so many great games. Yep. 360 for sure.
Yeah,
Well, I guess you guys weren't swayed by like blast processing or Genesis having like a cool volume control tab on it and a headphone jack. Come on, think
People
about those
actually
cool
use that?
features. The Tower
would I
of
use that?
Power, the Tower of Power, you could have like the 32X, you could have the Sega CD. I mean, that
Hey,
game.
I loved
Yeah.
my Sega CD. They had some of the best games, best arcade ports out there. Final Fight CD, best port of Final Fight ever. Street Fighter was one, I believe. When Mortal Kombat first came out on the Sega CD, it's like, oh my God, look at this. Yeah, some of the best games.
Listen to this was better than looking at, because you had that with Sega. What was that? The Video Maker with Crisscross and Marky Mark.
No, I stayed away from that. I didn't touch Night Trap. I was like, what is
Sewer
this?
Shark. Yeah,
I didn't buy a gaming console to watch full motion video. I got it to play games. That was it. I don't want this garbage.
Yeah, the magic of CD. Oh my goodness. And Sony actually made games specifically for the Sega CD. Long history, if you ever listened to Console Wars, there's a big part of that's how Sony really got into it. So very good. Well, gentlemen.
What are your picks, Todd?
So it's an interesting one, because I think PlayStation 2 it is the most successful console of all time. And it has probably one of the best libraries of all time. Just the amount of titles it covered. I mean, JRPGs, just franchises that it brought out. I mean, it really had some bangers. But I would say it wasn't the best of Sony, because they weren't really, firing on all cylinders with their first party at that point. Still,
Right.
They still didn't have. Naughty Dog was making Jak and Daxter. I mean, you just did not see their best software come out. They were still heavily third party. So that's why I would lean into Genesis would be returned, but in actuality, Genesis was the only console I actually really rented. I rented Genesis from a video store. So, but I didn't own it, and I never finished any games on it because I never owned it. I never was able to rent it long enough to actually finish anything. So it truly was a return. I returned it every weekend during the summer and went back to whatever I else wanted to do. I would say the PlayStation 2 would be a rental, even though I loved that console. Until the disc drive died, but it brought DVDs to most people's living room for the first time. It was an affordable DVD player, and it had some great games. I mean, Grand Theft Auto 3. Grand Theft Auto wouldn't have existed if PlayStation 2 said, "Let's do something crazy." Take-Two, that's kind of crazy, and that game kind of is. Really set things forward on a different level for the sandbox game. But that's going to be that's definitely be my rent. And then the buy is Xbox 360. I love the original Xbox. It had some really awesome games on it, but with the 360, they took a different approach. They really went mainstream, and I have always wanted Xbox to get back to what they did, which was basically creating a new franchises that just kind of had prominence. I mean, they launched with Mass Effect. They had BioShock. They had Gears of War. I mean, I think Forza Horizon also launched. Did it launch on 360?
It didn't launch. It came afterwards.
Sure. Okay. But that's one of the series that came out on 360. So so 360 for a sophomore system, just like PS2. I mean, all these systems were wildly successful. So I'm just so glad that they iterated and they really performed. So I would say 360. Dishonored was the game that finally killed my 360, but I didn't Red Ring. It was just
Red Ring.
And one of those things, face plates, really fun stuff there. Those really expensive hard drives you had to snap in the top. So I'm glad Xbox brought those back again with the Xbox Series, snapping in hard drives. So they really set some standards, which I really love. So there we go. So that is what we would rent, buy, or return. So thanks everybody for that. And let us know on the Twitters and the social media what you love as well between those systems. But now we're ready to talk about actual games we've played. So Keith, it looks like you played a broad assortment. Didn't really stick on one thing in particular.
Yeah. So I jump around. I've been going through a hard time with gaming, and between reviewing games and not be able to talk about certain games because of NDAs, and I don't want to get in trouble. I recently started playing a lot of Darkest Dungeon because they came out and said, "Oh, hey, by the way, Darkest Dungeons 2 is coming out early access in October." I was like, "Well, you announced this last year. It's coming out next year in October, so let me get back into the game." And as you probably figured out by now, I like games to punish me, so I'm playing a lot of that. Dying a lot, getting mad because my favorite characters are dying, deleting the game save, starting over again because I don't want to lose that certain character. Aliens, Fireteam Elite. What can I say? It's reminds me a lot of Gears of War. I love the Alien universe. It's easy one of the better Aliens games out there. I love the fact that it's co-op, and I just think that Cole Iron did an amazing job with the game. Amazing. And then
That's that's like a it's like a resurgence. These games are like Left 4 Dead. This is coming out before Back 4 Blood. So
yep.
Do they nail it? Because I mean, I always think of aliens. Do they? I mean, they have a variety of alien types, right? Is that what's new?
Yeah. So most of the aliens in the game are new. I think so. Let me back up. So I think it's funny that you mentioned that because we were having a conversation over the Outerhaven about Back 4 Blood and aliens because they had the Back 4 Blood beta. And a lot of us think that Aliens was the better game, and everybody are like, "Well, Back 4 Blood's just a beta," and I'm like, "Yeah, it is a beta, but at the same time, it's kind of polished. It kind of shows us everything what's going on in the game. But when you play Aliens, there's just more things you can do. There's better weapons. You can customize your characters. There's just so many things you can do in that game, and I really enjoyed it.
It's interesting. Aliens is now a Disney franchise. So
is it?
Was there a big? Oh yeah, they bought. Yeah, they acquired it from Fox. So there wasn't a big Disney logo. Oh, there you go.
My son walked in.
It is how it's called.
Something. I don't know what he took, but he took something. I saw him in the corner of my eye.
Keith, that's a good emergency system if ever there's like a stalker or a serial killer. Now you know.
It literally just comes on every time. I go, "Yep." And you saw the light, which is. I will fix this room. I will fix this room. I will fix this room.
Or maybe there was
a special treat for anyone watching the video version.
Yes. Or maybe there was a xenomorph just sneaking in since we're talking about aliens.
Well, I've got a gun back there. I'm good. Okay. I got a Halo Infinite rifle back there.
You got an Ant-Man helmet too?
Oh yeah, I got a ton of stuff back there. I'm safe. Awesome. I got Doom Guy helmet. And I'm good.
You're good.
Perfect.
I'm good.
Perfect.
I'm good. And then the last one was Forza Horizon 4. I'm a big racing fan. I'm excited for Forza Horizon 5, so I started playing a lot more 4. I can't wait for 5. That's all I can say. I cannot wait for 5. The biggest game out of all the games. So many cars, so many environments to run into. I'm a big off-road buff as well. And I just saw the running through the jungle and the volcano. I'm like, yep. I'm not coming in for the next couple of days while I play this game. Thank you very much.
It looks like it's going to be way more fun, I think, like than 4 was. 4, I had fun with 4. I really enjoyed 4, but there's something about that like tropical party theme, like 3 was, that it's just like there's just something about that catches me more, and I think 5 is going to bring that kind of energy back. I'm really looking forward to 5.
Yeah, a lot of people actually said that if you rated 3 and 4 together, 3 was the better game and was more substance and the appeal. 4 had a great racing vibe. Obviously, it did a lot of things better. It played better, more selection of cars. But 3 overall was the better game, and again, just substance. And I'm seeing a lot of that with 5. So I'm looking forward to that. But it's funny though because I reviewed 4. I reviewed 3, and I was like, how are they going to beat this game? And then it came out 4, and I was like, all right, this is no way they're going to come out and smash 4. I was like, all right, you guys are wizards. I just want to play your game now. You're great. You're great.
Yeah, I'm not a racing guy at all. I miss Burnout. I miss the stupid arcadey racing games. And when I saw 5, I'm like, maybe this is my in, because they showed like some weird game modes. Like, don't they have one like where you're like in almost like a Wipeout style like game where you're hitting balls and things and doing stuff like that? There's like some weird game mode people can create with cars now.
I don't remember, but in 4 they had a bunch of zany things. Back up 3 they had Lego. No, sorry, 3 they had Hot Wheels. 4 they had Lego. Right? 4 was Lego, which is amazing. Okay. If you do anything, jump in 4. I think 4 is on Xbox Game Pass. I'm not 100% sure anymore.
Yeah.
It is
But
okay.
the DLC is not. So if you want to play the Lego
Oh,
bit, you have to pay for that. But the base game is on Game Pass.
yeah, there's so much in there, and the Lego is fun. The Lego is worth it. And if you ever watch the Lego movies, they even have a station where it plays everything is awesome nonstop. I loved it. Loved
That's
it.
amazing.
Yeah, there's a game mode called Playground Games. And like I said, if you ever watch the show Wipeout on ABC or any of those games, it looks like a wacky, almost like Fall Guys type of experience with cars, which I think that's genius. I mean, that's an easy way to get people just to have fun and do something stupid versus feel like, oh, I've already lost a race, or, I'm not very good at this, or I'm spinning out and, I'm not very good at driving. So there you go. That could be fun.
I never watched that TV show because this is just me. I was always mad that they took that name Wipeout because the Wipeout I remember was a pretty slick futuristic racing game.
Yep.
Not this. What is this show? I don't know what this is, but it's not
Yeah.
the Wipeout I remember.
Not at all. Not
Didn't
at all.
stop me from watching the show, but I loved that game.
Fun fact, Forza Motorsport 7 is now no longer able to be purchased on Xbox.
Yep, they got delisted. It's gone.
Yeah, the licenses expired and they can't do it. Isn't that just sad? So if you missed your chance, guys, it was $10 a couple weeks ago. Now you will never be able to buy that game new if you never purchased it in the past. So
Unless you can find it in
RIP.
store somewhere.
RIP. Oh, yeah. Yeah. If you can find like a used copy, maybe even if you've got a disc drive. But if you got a Series S, you're screwed.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
All right, Mark. What
Yes,
have you been
sir.
playing? You've been playing some very serious games too.
I've been busy. I've been enjoying the last. I think like by the last episode, I think I mentioned like I was in a bit of a gaming funk. I wasn't playing a ton for the last couple of episodes, and I'm starting to fix that now. That the summer's kind of winding down, and it's more like stay and play video game weather. So I'm kind of back, baby. But to start, I came back with Fortnite Season 8, the big Fortnite Season 7 finisher event happened on the weekend. I didn't get to put together a crew because I was out in the country and with a crappy internet connection and my Switch, but I still got to kind of enjoy this event and watch it. I did watch a captured stream of the event when I got home to see it in like 4K and prettier. But it was still fine on the Switch. It was cool. It was a neat kind of thing. Talking about aliens, you went up in an alien ship and we destroyed it, but you got double crossed. There was all this kind of drama, and the whole thing kind of played out like a Disney ride. We're like, you didn't really do much, but it was very entertaining, and you were kind of like a semi-active participant. Like you'd still run down the corridors and there was still someone yelling like, oh, you have to go left. Oh, we have to jump in this. Okay, give me a second. I have to shut this door. Like it was that kind of interactivity, but like you weren't really like actively shooting aliens or like doing anything really, but it was still a wildly entertaining event. And season 8's been pretty cool so far. I don't like some of the changes, but some of the other stuff, like it's been neat. So, as usual, if you want to play some Fortnite, hit me up. I usually play a few nights a week. It'd be great to play with some of the community. So find me in Discord or anywhere else, and we'll tell you where to find me later on. I also, speaking of things I'd like to play with people, I got back into Sea of Thieves because I saw that the season was ending, and I started to panic because I thought the Pirates of the Caribbean content might have been going away. It's not. That those tall tales are staying put even as the new season is starting. So if you haven't played them like me, you can. And I played the first part of the Pirate Tale, so it was super entertaining to play along with Jack Sparrow and to do stuff with him. And you're firing the cannons, and he's yelling as usual, like Jack Sparrow stuff next to you, and you're shooting at Davy Jones, and it's again just wildly entertaining mix of like Pirates of the Caribbean and Goonies, which like. Give me more. So if anyone wants to play through some more of that, I'm willing to restart the whole thing or pick up where I left off at chapter 2. It's awesome. And again, one of those things on Game Pass, so just like try it out. It's a very fun kind of thing. The other two things that I've been playing are also on Game Pass. One is Skatebird, and I
Is it like a gimmick, like Snakes on a Plane?
yeah, it really is.
Okay.
I wanted to love this game. When I first saw it, I was like, Skatebird, that's so dumb. And like, I wanted there to be like a Tony Hawk, but he's an actual hawk. There is a Tiny Hawk, which I guess is.
Don't
close
they
enough
have like
without being
other like?
sued.
Don't they have other birds that have like weird nicknames that make you think of other characters? I thought they
No,
did. Like,
not that I saw. It's all like actual birds. Like there's just like barn owl and that kind of stuff. Maybe I missed it because I was
how creative.
flicking through them really quickly. I ended up playing, I think, with a kookaburra because I think they're super cute. So this game started off really well because my wife was sitting next to me on the couch and I fired up Skatebird and Finn was running around and I was trying to like pick something that he might like see some colors or something fun. But my wife laughed so much when I fired this up and she just saw this like bird that you can put a hat on and like a handkerchief and stuff. And like, he's on a skateboard and she was just like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. And I love it. And I was really into it. We picked how my little kookaburra would look and it was great. And then I started playing the game. And as someone who loves the Tony Hawk franchise as much as I do, and you're used to that level of like, they've perfected it over the years kind of control, and it's so tight and it's so accurate, and you can pull off the exact move that you want to when you want to do it. Skatebird is not that. Skatebird is very much rough around the edges. I appreciate what they were going for. I hope they keep working on this and fine tuning some of the controls and some of the things, but it's right now a bit of a mess. Fun to check out if you have Game Pass. I don't know if I'd recommend spending actual money on this, but if you have Game Pass and you're a little bit bored for 30 minutes, check out Skatebird. It's cute enough for a laugh, but like, I don't think it has much staying power for me anyway. I'm just going to go back and play Tony Hawk to get my my skateboarding fix.
There you go.
But it was cute.
Mark, I've got a suggestion for DLC.
Okay.
The goose from Untitled Goose Game.
100% would
there
get me
you
to
go.
re-download. Yes. 100%. Like throw in some Angry Birds DLC. I'm in.
Very good.
Yep.
Very good.
Yep.
Yeah. Falcon from Falcon, but it's a Falcon just with like the cap suit.
That'll work. I go for that.
I like that. That's and finish off the season of DLC with Sam Eagle from
the Muppets.
Yeah, just like angry looking on a skateboard, just America, skate this way. But like, I mean, the game is cute. Like like I said, it has some stuff. Like, you're skating around as a bird in like a bedroom. So like the way they set up like pizza boxes as ramps and like magazines is like it's got some potential. It just needs a lot of polish. So that's Skatebird. The last one I played, another Game Pass game that I saw and I was super excited for. I Am Fish. So this game, you play as 4 fish who are all in a pet store together, and they get purchased and separated, and one of them makes their way to, I guess, the ocean or whatever, the harbor, and sends a signal to the rest, and you have to figure out how to escape your confines and get there, obviously in water. So that's where the ridiculousness comes, is you can kind of okay, so we're all super old. Do you guys remember like the ball maze game where you'd like turn one knob and then turn another knob and try to get the this game? That's
what it is.
Like that's a big part of this, is like, if you played that game and liked it, you will like this game, because it can be frustrating just like that was, but it's also very satisfying. And the whole thing looks like some kind of Pixar cartoon. So it's like the ball maze game mixed with Finding Nemo. And that's the basic gist of this. I really, really enjoyed most of this game, and I'm almost kind of finished with it. I finished the story with 2 fish, and I'm on the last level with the last 2 fish. So I'm pretty good. But some of it was very frustrating, and it was the wrong kind of frustrating. So Keith, you've mentioned like you like punishing games,
The good
Mm-hmm.
suck.
but it's the good kind of punishing games. Like I'm not super huge on like Dark Souls and that kind of stuff, but I like games like Celeste and like Mega Man and that kind of stuff. That is kind of, I don't know. I call it the good kind of challenging or the good kind of punishing. This one had some of that, but then other parts it was just like the button didn't work, or you hit an invisible wall and there's like a flying fish at one point, and that part's super. There's parts in that are super frustrating because
Okay,
you'd be
you said I am fish. Is it?
yes,
I am looking this up now.
yep. So yeah, it's fun, but get ready to be frustrated. And some of it, like I said, is built in, like I Am Bread or Surgeon Simulator and that kind
Or
of stuff,
Quap.
where it's like it's a little wonky, right? And they want you to fail. And then there's other parts that it's just like, no, no. Luckily, they kind of bake that into the game and you can skip to the next checkpoint. The checkpoints usually
Good.
are pretty generous. There's a couple of checkpoints that it was like, why would you put it there instead of a couple of feet forward? Because you'd get to a point and again, some NPC that you didn't see would kick you and your thing would go flying and you'd smash and you'd be right next to a checkpoint, but you didn't get it because of some unforeseen circumstance. So there were points that I wanted to smash my new Aqua Shift Xbox controller, and I really had to not try to do that. But for the most part, this was a really cute game, and again, one that my wife enjoyed watching me play, and Finn was really like, ooh, it's a cartoon. Like he's all about the Disney Plus cartoons, and this was right in his wheelhouse. So it's got the 15-month-old seal of approval, and mine as well. So I Am Fish, check it out. It's on Game Pass, so just play it there and enjoy it.
Yeah, actually, just do it on streaming, I assume. Even quicker. Start it up on your phone.
Yeah,
There you go.
good work.
Yes. So I will actually continue on call it the bad suck, I guess we're going to call it. I am finally giving my verdict on Foreclosed. So Mark was a good man, got me a code for this game by the publisher, and I am now going to talk about this game. And I will give you the pros and the cons, but I'll give you a little bit about this game first. Basically, Foreclosed, made by Antab Studios. It's a narrative-driven action shooter set in a cyberpunk world, has a comic book, cel-shaded look to it. And basically, you play Evan Kapnos, and you have these implants. And the funny thing about implants, if you don't pay them off, they repossess them or foreclose on them. And that's the whole premise of the game, which kind of leads you on a path to not get them removed, but it kind of leads you to kind of a murder mystery. You kind of feel like, I believe he's like a detective for hire, a PI. So it's from a third person perspective. This is a stealth type game, but with some combat. And I like the setting of the game. It's near future. It's got a clean look, so it's not dirty and grimy. It felt very much so. Had some stealth moments. Had some, I would say, it's almost like pursuit moments where you're trying to outrun someone or not get shot. And it's got some mechanics. You can dive, roll, and things like that, which was entertaining. And then you also had stealth where you had to sneak around people. And then eventually you get implants, which allow you to overheat your enemy's implants. So basically you're supercharging their chips, so they shut down. So that was kind of a cool element. There's moments where you actually go into like vents and things like that, and you sneak through them through a first person perspective. So, and I like a lot of these things. The voice acting seems pretty decent. There's voiceover. You kind of don't know exactly where the path is going to lead you. But I would say overall the premise is pretty cool. So pluses for that. Where this broke down, and I only got about an hour and a half into this game, and I checked and looked for walkthroughs just to see, am I doing something wrong? Is there something wrong? This game is very vague, and it doesn't lead you to understand where you need to go or how you get there. It has like a little like a red dot you look up in the environment to say, oh, I think I need to go there. And it was funny. The same problem I had, I watched another guy do it, and he had the exact same problem. So I'm glad it's not a Todd problem versus it's an unintuitive understanding of where you need to go that unless someone discovered it, I probably would have got so frustrated, and maybe 3 hours later, I would have discovered it. But that's not good game design. Good game design means that it's intuitive enough, provides a challenge, and you eventually find it. So especially in a game like this, you don't want to get hung up in a spot that's not even that interesting. Like, I didn't know to take this vent because I didn't see the vent because it wasn't something you had experienced before you could actually go into the vents. So there you go. Camera system made me sick. I had never on a console have felt sick in a third-person game. First-person game, even then, I've never felt sick. VR, I've never felt sick. This one, when you'd swing your stick, it was way too fast, and I tried to slow it down, change all the parameters. Even when I put it to the slowest setting, it was still bad. I felt sick to my stomach, and I've never felt, and then you should not feel that way in this type of game. So I don't know. I looked to see if there's any updates. There wasn't. This game has been out for 2 months. So that made it almost playable once again for me. That was just like, this is not good. So I'm not sure why, if it was maybe made for PC where you could control some of those things a little bit or tweak them a little bit more granular than you could with thumbsticks.
Right.
Don't know. But that's another obstacle. And the last one, I was getting my gun. Guns are the main combat in the system. I'm trapped in the menu system to just take my gun. You're in the implant menu, and I'm like, okay, I figured out you can do upgrades and very cool, looks very cool. I just want to leave now and go on and just fight you. Can't do it. I'm like, what's going on? I watched walkthroughs. People just says, escape. Okay, I'll try it again. Don't do it. I looked on PS5 walkthroughs. I changed my controllers. So I'm stuck. Oof. I don't know what to do. So I'm like, I can't progress. And I pushed every button combination you could think of, clicked everything. So unless I contact the publisher and say I'm having this issue or see if there's some hot fix or something for it, I'm essentially done with this game because I can't move forward. So I can't get out of this. I tried reloading just to think maybe it's right now, reloaded, did the same thing, got to the same point, did it again. So
I did skip past this, but I had a very similar kind of problem with I Am Fish, and it's a well-known bug. Apparently it came up right away when I searched it, but apparently on the Xbox Series consoles, you can get stuck at the title screen. So it'll say press any button, and it's just the 4 fish just chilling there. And I was pressing every single button. It took a full restart of my console. I read some places that it took multiple restarts of the console for this to fix itself. They're working on a patch. They're aware of it. That's why I didn't mention it at first. But since you're bringing up this problem, like that's an issue. But at least I Am Fish, like, they're tweeting about it. They're saying, we know, we're working on it. This one sounds like it's kind of silent.
Pretty much, yeah. I've looked for like error codes. I've looked for, stuck in menu and found nothing so far. So I will reset my console just to see, maybe that's the magic thing, but that's a little ridiculous to have to do that, to your point, to do that. So it's got a 59 Metacritic out there. So maybe other people are experiencing glitches or the vagueness or something like that. Great premise. I think the studio could do some really cool things. Just this game is just stumbling over itself and getting in my way of my enjoyment. I don't want to destroy my controller or my console because of this. So, but if it sounds interesting, maybe you won't have the same problem. Other people haven't had the same problem, so it could be a weird combination. So check out Foreclosed if you're interested. Like I said, the game, everything but the actual playing, when it works pretty well. So yeah, that's a little disappointing, but check it out if you want to. And then lastly, Deathloop. I do not have a lot of time in Deathloop, so I'll just put that caveat out there. I've battled the first Visionary, haven't beaten her yet. The Visionaries are bosses. So Deathloop is basically, it's a 60s weird, Austin Powers type environment. You've got this main character named Colt. He's a badass. He's really cool. And you wake up on a beach and you don't know what's happening. And then you find out essentially you're in a loop. And then you basically have to destroy the loop so time doesn't keep resetting. You're on an island essentially. You have these enemies that are very weird. They're wearing masks. It's very odd, not really explained. And Cole even asks why they're wearing masks. So I like it. The game is a really cool narrative structure, really cool voice acting. You essentially have two main characters, Colt and your antagonist, Juliana. She talks right through the DualSense controller, and it almost sounds like you're talking through a walkie-talkie, which is the exact aesthetic you want. The DualSense, all the immersion pieces are fantastic. The gunplay is pretty good. You can dual equip if you want. You have a thing called a thingamagig, whizzagig. I don't know. It's got a funny name, but basically you can hack things, which is fun. And essentially, you will get upgrades. You'll get special abilities like double jump and different things like that. You've got these weird. They're called slabs, and then you get these other things that essentially give you a perk, but they give you a negative at the same time. So it's one of those nice little balancing. If you want a little difficulty, you can have that as well. And the whole premise is you've got to beat 8 of these visionaries who are trying to maintain the loop in one day. You can only die 3 times. And then if you die before you get the first visionary, you lose everything. But but nothing changes. It's basically not like a roguelike where it's procedurally generated. So you can memorize it. It's kind of very much like a Bloodborne or something like that, where it's difficult. But if you know a path and you know what to expect, you can really get ready for it. It's not difficult like a Bloodborne at this point. Like the enemies aren't very difficult, but you have to heavily rely on stealth like most arcane games. If you don't, you will get overwhelmed and you'll die. One of the unique premises is Juliana can invade at any time. Just show up and start taking you out. It's so cool. And you can open up the game to have other real players play as Juliana if you want. So that can get annoying. And then, so like I said, I'm at the first visionary. It's very interesting. It's not frustrating yet. So this is where Dishonored, where I stopped because the stealth was so hard. And I felt like the AI was too good. It was almost like I'm not getting seen or they're not moving enough. So then I eventually have to move because I can't wait for them to finally move, or maybe they don't move at all. So I'm not a big fan of stealth games, but this one seems like there might be a hook to get me around that. But if not, my son wants to try it out. He'll get better at it than I in about a day and show me, hey, Dad, you're bad at this. But the thing that worries me the most is you have 3 lives to take out the 8 bosses in one day. That's going to be rough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So very good. It's not a roguelike. It's more like a Souls-like game, but not as difficult. But it still has, it's an immersion game where you can play with the game you want. And if the night and day cycle too changes how many enemies are there. So which is another just interesting viewpoint where it was safe during the day, not safe during the night. I like it. So Keith, did you play it?
No, I hear a lot of people talking about it. We reviewed it over the Outerhaven. The reviews are kind of paralyzing at the moment. Some people say it's a great game. Some people say it's not. I was actually in a Twitter space today where they were talking about this game, and I'm a big fan of Dishonored. So it sounds like it'll be something that I'll enjoy. But again, I'm still going through that kind of like gaming funk where I'm being very selective when I play right now. Like a good example is I still haven't opened up my Resident Evil Village.
Oh,
I still haven't played it.
No.
So I'll get to it eventually.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole reason for that. A lot of stuff happened in my personal life over the last couple of months, which hasn't been great. But I will be giving this a try on my PC, though. But I'm a big PC gamer first and foremost, and there are a lot of issues with the PC version, so I'll have to wait.
That's what I've heard.
Until I fix that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
I love how wrong I seem to have been about this game. Like I was on record on this show several times being like, is this really the exclusive that PlayStation is going with? Like an Xbox Studios big, kind of
so weird, right? It's weird.
Such a weird thing. And I never it looked good. It looked okay. I really thought like 6, 7s, maybe an 8 kind of thing, but like starting to see like perfect 10s roll in, and this being like a viable PlayStation exclusive leading into the fall. I was wrong. Holy crap, I was wrong. But I'm wondering if that is taking away some of there was so much buzz, and now even as you're talking it, I haven't heard that much buzz about it after like that first initial kind of volley of like perfect 10 reviews, which is cool. But even with those reviews, it was the caveat of like, this studio is going to be making Xbox exclusive. This studio's, this game's probably going to end up on Xbox. Like the Xbox was always mentioned in the reviews, which got me a little bit kind of like, oh man, that has to suck for PlayStation right now.
I think a big part also is a lot of gamers, because we have this whole fanboyism thing. A lot of gamers can't wrap their head around the fact that this is a PlayStation exclusive game that is made by a Microsoft studio.
Right.
And they don't want to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But it's like, this is one of the better games that PlayStation has right now.
Yeah.
Shut up and play the game and enjoy it. I don't understand the problem.
Yeah.
It's one of the few next-gen games, too. I mean, that's one thing that has plagued Xbox. They don't have many Series X exclusives that ultimately display the power. And I will say this. I mean, I know people said this is an Xbox. I don't know if this game would have been made, though, if PlayStation had stepped in and put some money towards it. Because, Xbox could have funded this game if they wanted to before PlayStation, came in and did things. Mm-hmm. So, ultimately, we should be thankful this game was made. Because let's put it this way. Arcane has not had many successful games. So I'm glad they're getting accolades for this. I'm glad this is getting some showcase where there's not a lot of big games right now, where this game is going to stand out right now in September, where there's not a lot of noise going around, and quite honestly, which is great. So I'm excited for them. I right now, though there is a limited user base on PlayStation right now that can actually play this game. 11 million PlayStation systems. It's on PC as well. So I'm glad we're getting this because, like I said, I don't know if this game would have been made under Xbox, because I don't know if Xbox would say, no, we don't want you to make that game. We want you to make something else because we can't trust you because Dishonored never sold. So we're going to tell you what to make and make something that'll make some money for us. So don't know. I mean, but
it's kind of the Psychonauts problem, right? Like, would Microsoft have been like, yes, Psychonauts 2, go after it, unless they had already started and the Xbox at that point was just like, yeah, you know what? If you need some more money, now we believe in Psychonauts 2, that it's fully funded and ready to go. And you guys just kind of need some help getting the final thing. But it is funny thinking about the success on PlayStation might lead to Deathloop 2 being an exclusive for Xbox. Like, what?
And that would, I think, grind everyone's gears more than anything else. If it's like, hey, if the game would have been possible with us, and now we're not even getting a chance at the sequel. That would be one of the things where maybe Xbox will play nicely with them in this instance, just because it is such a unique thing where it's like it kind of has a PlayStation identity now, which could be there. But I don't know. I would also remember when the Coalition, when they were first announced, they were making like this weird spy game, and then told, "Oh, you're not making a weird spy game. We need you to make Gears game because Epic is not going to make Gears games for us anymore." So things change.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
I want to say real quick. I'm sorry. I like to think that maybe old Microsoft probably wouldn't have greenlit a lot of games that are coming out now, but the new Microsoft is a completely different beast. So I will give them no kudos for that. At the same time, I agree with you. If there is a sequel to this game, if there's a Deathloop 2 or something, and it doesn't come out to PlayStation, that's bad. That's very bad.
It's a bad look. Yeah, it's a bad look. It was like when Xbox did the Tomb Raider deal. It's kind of like, well, it's not like Tomb Raider isn't synonymous. Yeah, it's weird.
Speaking of never liked those, let's get to the headlines, Todd.
Oh, yes. So that leads us into what we've been playing now with what's actually happening in the gaming news. And this week, this actually will take us into our topic of the show. But we, Mark, you weren't on when Rich and I did the PlayStation Showcase. Mm-hmm. And I think hopefully you finally watched this.
I did.
Some of the stories.
Watched that and I listened to you guys. So I'm all caught up. I'm ready to go.
Perfect. So we basically got. Oh, thank you. I thought it was a fun, little different type of show than we normally do. So basically, KOTOR is getting a remake on PS5. We talked about this last week, but ultimately we found that this is going to be a year-long exclusive. Mm-hmm. This will be Aspire's first, doing something new versus just doing essentially refreshes, remasters, I guess is the best way of old games. They've done a lot of Star Wars games, so they're bringing that out. And along with that, we are now hearing that essentially Quantic Dream is being rumored to be making a Star Wars game. Quantic Dream essentially has very many PlayStation ties with Heavy Rain, Beyond Two Souls, and Detroit 2 Human. They also made a game called Fahrenheit or something else on the original Xbox and PlayStation 2. Weird game. But regardless, so now we're hearing these two Star Wars games are potentially coming. One is going to be a PlayStation exclusive for a limited time. This game, though, we don't know. With Quantic Dream having a relationship with PlayStation, that could lead into another PlayStation game. And Disney has a very strong relationship with PlayStation right now. They have made fantastic games in partnership with Disney and Sony on Spider-Man and Miles Morales. We know we're getting a Spider-Man 2, and we are also getting a Wolverine game.
Yes.
So the only Disney property I think beyond this is Indiana Jones, and Indiana Jones is being developed by Machine Games, and Machine Games basically. Oh, go ahead.
I just talked about a big Disney exclusive for Xbox, the Pirates of the Caribbean tie-in with Sea of Thieves. So there are a couple of things in Xbox land that are Disney licensed. So Disney is spreading their love a little bit, but Sony is 100% getting the attention from arguably the bigger franchises.
Yeah, and we have, like I said, Indiana Jones coming Machine Games. That game, I believe, was already in motion before Xbox purchased them. So we don't know what's going to happen with that game. I think if that was exclusive, we would have already heard that by now. We haven't. They already mentioned there was going to be games that were not going to be exclusive due to previous deals. And Indiana Jones, quite honestly, he doesn't have much cash these days. So I think they want to get that game everywhere, not just on one console, to be honest, because they got a movie coming out. Maybe I'm wrong. So with that, gentlemen, I don't know if there's, I mean, first let's talk about KOTOR remake. Are you excited about it?
Keith, go ahead.
Keith, you're giving me a look like.
So we talked about this on our last podcast, and I didn't play the original game. I should say I didn't play a lot of the original game. So I was like, all right, that's cool and all. Great for fans of the game. I never played it. So, yeah, I don't really care about it. It's great that it's getting a remaster. I love that because that game is a big game that Star Wars fans love. Every time you talk about some of the best Star Wars games, that game always pops up as being some of the better games out there, period. And now that it's getting a remaster, fantastic, great. The only thing I don't like about it, again, and I'm an advocate about this, is that here goes the doorbell. It's only coming out for one platform right now. I don't like that. Mm-hmm. I wish if it's a third-party game, it should come out for everybody, not just one platform. I cannot stand that to no extent. I just don't like that. But kudos to them. Fantastic.
Yeah, I'm feeling the same way, and I've been trying since this game was announced to put my finger on why. And I still don't think I've figured it out because I accept that the Spider-Man games are PlayStation exclusive. I have even come to terms that the Wolverine game is a PlayStation exclusive, even though past Wolverine games have been platform agnostic for the most part, I think. But for some reason, this one's bugging me. And maybe it's because there is an Xbox tie before. Maybe it's the 1 year exclusivity window. And we've learned, again, from Tomb Raider and other franchises that have been established that fans don't like that kind of BS. But it's like when it's Xbox doing this kind of stuff, the PlayStation fans are all up in arms. When it's PlayStation doing this, it's like, yeah, that's right. We got it, boys. And it's like, you can't have it one way and not the other. Like you got it. There's something about this that's driving me crazy. And I don't know why, but it is. It's just like Keith said, like just stop if it's going to eventually come out for everything, just get rid of these 6 month, 1 year windows. Like just launch it on everything at the same time. Stop holding things back. If it's going to be a platform exclusive end sentence, cool. And I think that maybe that's where it in my brain it breaks. Like Spider-Man, it's built from the ground up as a PlayStation only game. It will never come to anything else, and I have to accept that. With this one, it's like, why are you making me wait for a year to play it where I want to play it?
Exactly.
Like that. I think that's where it is, but I don't know. It's just been bugging me. So, and like Keith, I played a bit of the first one. I was not a huge fan of it. And I never played it when it originally came out. So I've recently tried to go back and it feels old. They have a lot of work to do to upgrade and update this game to feel right on a modern, a modern game setting. So I don't know. I'm excited to see what they do with it, but if this is the kind of stuff that makes me hold off on buying a PlayStation, and it was the same kind of stuff that would make me hold off on buying an Xbox or any other platform, that they're like, now, if you want to play this within the next year, you have to buy a PS5. And I'm like, I will never buy a PS5 until this game's on Xbox. Like, it's just, and I'm that kind of stupid stubborn that I'm like taking other games away from myself just to like spite them out of this dumb little rage in my head. But that's just kind of how I feel. It's one of those stupid little exclusivity things. And then again, I'm hoping that they're just like, Xbox is kind of like shoots back and they're like, you know what? Fine. We won't release Indiana Jones for anything else. Like, like it's just that stupid little fanboyism that, like you said, it just has to kind of go away.
It doesn't bother me. I bought an Xbox One to play Tomb Raider. I just accept it. It's just like, I'm not going to get mad about something I can't change, because really my dollars don't matter. It's just like holding out for spite. Oh, there's so many awesome games on PlayStation, Mark. Why would you stop yourself over spite? It's just silly.
I'm actually not. Yeah. I want. There's so many games on PS5 that I was talking to a friend of mine that now works for Sony, which is weird. But I was saying, like, you guys crushed it with the showcase, and like I need to pick up a PS5 sooner rather than later, just to hit on like some of the other games that I've so far missed out on and that are upcoming. And but even when I do, like, this game, I'm just going to be like, I don't know, maybe I'll hold out for the Xbox version. And I don't know, just out of spite.
I do want to play this game because it has one of the best stories in Star Wars, Mark. Yeah. That's the main reason. And you being a Star Wars fan, I think the reason why they're remaking it is because, just like the Resident Evil remakes, they have to bring it up to speed. You just can't port something like that because the systems, the camera, all those things aren't going to be fixed with a frame rate boost or a resolution boost. Yeah. Even maybe the acting. Acting in games has come along with voice direction, things like that. Yeah. And they're bringing back some of the voice actors, which is very cool. And once again, this goes back. If Sony didn't come to the plate, once again, everybody has the opportunity to come up to the plate to offer money to get something made. An Xbox, I don't know. I don't know why they're just holding back. I mean, obviously they're spending $8 billion on studios and things like that, but they still have the opportunity to get licenses on their systems, and they definitely could. Nothing's to stop them. This game will come to other platforms. It's on PC, I believe, as well. So it's not just PlayStation. So it's there. And it's kind of like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is stuck on the Switch. And that hardware holds that game back. The camera angles, it was performed badly. And like, this game could be so good, and it's held back there. And I'm like,
same with that game bad coming up. Like, what? That's Star Wars. Is Star Wars Hunters? I think.
Yeah.
They showed it off on the latest Apple keynote. That's going to be an iOS and Switch exclusive, from what I've seen so far.
Yep.
What? Like,
that doesn't give me much presence that that's going to be a very deep game if it's mobile. Well, because it's a hero
shooter, right? Like, it's
but so I mean, is it what's the model? Is it going to be free to play? And then that worries me. And Zynga's making it, right?
Yeah.
Pass.
Oh, good.
Pass. We'll pass. Don't care.
Because they're known to treat your dollar with value, right?
Of course, yes.
But going back to what you said about Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, when I heard it being developed, was like, great, and there was like Switch, and I was like, oh no. I played the first two games, they were on Xbox and PlayStation, and then you come out with 3 and you get all these characters, all these fantastic Marvel characters, and it's stuck on a Switch. And then when it came out and everybody's like, it performs like crap, put it somewhere else then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, PC, could put it on PC. I mean, at a minimum, PC, something like that, because that's, but I totally get it. Nintendo funded that game, so I'm like, that was the cost of entry. I bought it, played it for a little bit, and put it away because I just didn't like the leveling system where you had to go back and bring in players at level 1. I'm like, where I've got level 35 Wolverine. Well, I'm going to bring in level 1 Dazzler. I'm like, it's going to take 5 hours to upload her. So yeah, so it's just interesting how we've got, we've got this other game. So what do you guys think about Quantic Dream, who is known for their, I don't even know how you do it. It's almost like an adventure game with a very mature themes, death, killing, child kidnapping, all those weird things, making a Star Wars game. We've never had a Star Wars game that was just almost like a Telltale game with consequences and choices like that. Mm-hmm. Is that something we want with Star Wars?
I do think so. If they manage to pull off like a Mass Effect style game in the Star Wars universe, I'm good. I'm glad for that. I'll be happy with that.
with no
I'm just
combat.
That's the thing. I'm not sure about not having any kind of combat. Quantic games, they're not known for the combat, and that's what I'm a little concerned about. Is this going to just be a choose your adventure type of game, and that's it? I mean, that might be boring. I mean, Telltale's games.
Yeah,
I don't know if I want that.
yeah, the actions are never great. Mark, what about this? What if you're a Jedi and you have to like use your force powers to guide conversations? And
Oh no.
if you lean too much into perverting their minds, they become dark and you're perverting the force. See, Mark, I'm trying to like blend this into a different thought process.
Yeah, I think this could be interesting depending on which direction they take it. And it could be centered around a Jedi who's, I mean, one of the Jedi codes is kind of, you don't attack, you are defense first, right? So this could be about a Jedi that's trying to not use their lightsaber. This could be about actually, there's the line in, I think, episode 2, where well, you got one thing right, the negotiations were short, or maybe that's episode 1. But anyway, it's either way, it could be that kind of thing where, the negotiations might be a little longer. Like the Jedi were supposed to be peacekeepers, so this could be set maybe High Republic days or something like that, where there might be like a bigger Jedi force. There's some that are peacekeepers. There's some that are kind of more soldiers. And this could follow that more peacekeeper side. Or it could also be some kind of smooth talking bounty hunter that's just trying not to get shot or something like that. I want to see
I can
where
go
this
for that.
goes, right? Like this could go in a whole lot of directions. And I've said this on Holocron Chronicles. I'll say it here. I think that Star Wars could use a little mix up the same way that Marvel movies do, where you might have a spy espionage movie, you might have a heist movie, you might have a cool origin tale, and you might have a crazy whatever the hell Thor Ragnarok was, like that. There's so much room to do different experiences within the same universe in the MCU, and I think Star Wars kind of needs that, and we've seen a little bit of that with Rogue One being this team kind of movie, and then the other movies are kind of a bigger, broader stroke kind of thing. So I think diving down into some more of the universe and getting a little bit more genre, and we can have an action game, we can have a hero shooter, we can have a negotiation tactics game or something. Like I think there's room for all of this in the Star Wars universe, and I'll be curious to check this out the same way that I want to get an Oculus VR to check out the Batu Galaxy's Edge kind of game. That looked really cool too. So bring it on. But that's coming from someone that runs a Star Wars podcast, so might be a little biased.
Whatever it would be, it's going to be a beautiful game. They are really a small studio that really puts out beautiful games. And Keith, to your point, could this be what drives them to try to add some combat that feels a little bit more not standard, but do different things?
Organic.
Yeah. Force powers and different things like that could really be different, but still unique enough in a Star Wars game. So I guess we'll see. And I've heard Jeff Grubb said that this is actually happening. So it will be interesting to see where they go. And Disney is definitely doing the approach where they find studios to make their games now. They're not held back to one publisher or developer, which is very interesting. So they can try different things, which is very cool. Which leads us into the main topic, which is with Marvel and Star Wars licenses coming to Sony. And we do have, obviously, we've got the Midnight Suns. That's going to be a wide release. Right. So it's not just to Sony. It's going to be third party. It's going to be all these different things. Doing a weird XCOM-like card game. Didn't expect that. It's all over the board. So with this point, and I thought of, and I'm not going to leave this just to Disney, because you could obviously go Pixar. You could go their animated stuff. You could do everything you want. My Big Hero 6 game still hasn't been made. So there we go. What other license would you like to see Nintendo and Xbox pursue. And not necessarily like they have to be exclusive, but hey, we're going to get behind this game and develop because we want to have these games made. I mean, a lot of people want an awesome Superman game. A lot of people want I don't know, call it whatever your favorite franchise is that doesn't have a video game right now. You're like, I just want somebody to make that. So, so maybe that's where you take it. Your favorite franchise that maybe doesn't have a video game, what is it and who should make it and where should it be?
That's a toughie, actually. Wow. I can't think of one, actually. Yeah, I can't think of one.
And yes, they made a horrible Sopranos game. If you ever want to watch a video for that, it's horrible. But
because some of my favorite licenses have been used by companies already. So
if you want to take a second to think, one just popped in my head for Xbox, and I'd like to see them go somewhere dark and mature, like Xbox used to kind of go for with, we talked about the 360, and that was kind of the thing, right? Like for me anyway, it was like coming from Nintendo, which was always bright, family friendly, whatever kind of stuff. Going to the 360, that was kind of the mature console. Like I said, they brought me back into gaming. So I'd love to see them go with something dark and go with an MCU property that I think could have a lot of potential, like something like Moon Knight popped in my head. That would be just,
I thought about him,
off the wall, just crazy stuff. Even Daredevil, as long as they don't, try to do a first person view, which would be
like in Radar.
Well, yeah, I'm thinking like it would look like a Virtual Boy and just be like all red. With radar pulses or something. That could be,
or the Dark Knight detective mode.
Oh God, yeah, that would be a little rough. But I think that kind of like from the Netflix kind of style hallway action would be just incredible. And I think making that kind of like boots to the ground kind of game would be really, really cool and kind of, a good counterpoint to Spider-Man, which is a little bit more bright and fun, and you're swinging through the city and having a good time. And like they're still, serious kind of Spider-Man stories, but I think something a little bit more gritty, which I'm guessing they're probably going to do with Wolverine, but I think that'd be kind of cool.
I have a developer for that game, Mark, for you.
All right.
You've seen Sifu.
Yeah. Yep.
That
exactly,
could work.
right
That could work. Yeah. That type of combat. It almost feels like was it Sleeping Dogs? That type of game, almost like that type of environmental combat, which is be very cool. Like in a small hallway, you could go off the walls and do those type of kicks. Very cool. I like that. Daredevil coming to Xbox
for Nintendo. I'm gonna pull out something a little strange, and I think we've kind of hinted at this and talked about this on the show before, but I think Disney Infinity needs to come back, and I'm not talking toys to life necessarily, but something along the lines of like Kingdom Hearts without the ridiculously convoluted story and stuff. I think just the Disney Infinity, where you're hopping between different worlds with different Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars characters. It's got a cool cel-shaded animation style like the Disney Infinity games that could really work on a Nintendo console. And I think just doing that and having you being able to jump around and this chapter you're playing Luke Skywalker, this chapter you're playing Falcon, this chapter you're playing whoever, right? Like I think that would be I think that would fit on a Nintendo console. And I think, again, get away from the toys for life stuff. And there was something very appealing about that franchise, and it kind of gone too soon kind of thing.
Yeah, so
I love someone to bring that back, right? And I think it kind of fits with Nintendo's whole vibe, right? So they're my two choices: gritty as hell for Xbox, and bright and colorful and fun for Nintendo, and just bring that back.
Disney's What If.
There we go. What if Infinity did not compete with 4 other Toys to Life franchises and all of them failed because they were too expensive? That
Just bring over the Steam port. Bring over the Steam port of Disney Infinity. It's there.
Fun. Yeah. So
It's waiting.
Yeah, Keith. Anything pop in your head while I was talking there?
It can be like I said, doesn't even have to be Disney. Any franchise.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with not being Disney is you automatically think about DC. When you think of DC, you go to Batman, which is probably one of the better superhero games ever made. Despite what people are saying, Spider-Man is. I'll beg to defer that somewhere else. You want dark and gritty for Xbox? How about Deadpool or The Punisher by Platinum Games?
Damn.
That's a good choice. There was
Right
there was. Did you ever play that wacky Deadpool game on Xbox?
I regret that. I regret that.
I will say there are some interesting moments in that game, and there was a Punisher game on PlayStation 2 and the original Xbox, which I own, and it was way too grim and gritty and gross. So I could see them making a quality game, though.
Like finisher kills in that game, weren't there?
Oh yeah,
like some real gruesome shit. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would say that would be a hard game to make in this kind of climate right now. But that comes to mind. And honestly, any kind of action orientated game, I would want Platinum Games to do it. Just because, even though I know them and Microsoft have a spotty track record, Bayonetta. I mean, come on, the first Bayonetta hit home on so many levels. It was a fantastic game. It had great combat. It had a good story. It had a charming character. They'd be perfect for almost any action character in Marvel Comics or Marvel Universe. Or even going as far as to say Platinum Games as a Pixar title on Cars.
Really?
As a little kiddie sort of game, that'd be interesting. Because again, the Lego portion of Forza Horizon 4 was amazing. And a lot of people were like, wow, I wish this was just a full game by itself. That would do good.
Yeah.
I can see that. Yeah.
I like
Nintendo.
I like
it. Because Nintendo isn't kiddie anymore. They try to stress it so many different ways. Say we're not the company you grew up with.
Here's Bayonetta. That's super kiddie, right?
They got 3, but they got Bayonetta 3.
I know.
It's coming eventually, whenever. Oh man.
Yeah, that Danny DeVito dude who swears way too much. That's just really odd. Yeah, or Joe Pesci. No, that dude's Joe Pesci, right?
They both swear too much. Yeah, they both swear too much.
That guy is so weird. Oh yeah, so that's always funny. We're for the families. Now play Bayonetta and please let your kids enjoy some language.
Yeah.
Or destroy.
Not to mention the main character's clothes comes off.
I was just going to say, you're not going to mention
so
the wicked
weird.
witch that's punching demons
exactly.
or angels.
Exactly.
Or whatever. Yeah, no, okay, all right.
Exactly.
Yeah, I can't. Then again, I'm not a big fan of the Switch. I do own one.
Just assume it's on the Switch Pro.
I have a Switch. It's just so many different games on the Switch I don't think will work out right, and just so many great games came out on the Switch that ran like crap, and it makes me so frustrated. Boy, it would have to be something that would have to take advantage of the party feature of the Switch. Oh man, I don't know. I really don't know.
That'd be great too. Is getting back to some of like the side scroll. There were some great Marvel games for like the DS, like Ultimate Spider-Man. There were a couple of like the movie tie-ins, like Thor, Captain America, that were just like side scroller classic kind of games that I think could still work on Switch, or even something that like doesn't have to be side scroller, but something like Hades, just with a really cool art style. That'd be like, like Captain America throwing around a shield or something, and like Hades, you can kind of move in a few different directions and time those kind of shield bounces and stuff on enemies. Like, I think there's stuff to do there within the Switch limitations that can still work. It just needs a talented team to focus on what the Switch can do rather than build something and then try to squish it onto the Switch. So I think there's some stuff that you can do there for sure.
But can you think of a good one now?
I would say
America like Hades, man. Like, I want to see that. I want.
Well, how about a Disney animated property that could work well? Like, I just think of like, DuckTales, great Obviously, we got a game. We got a remake.
If you're going to give me a Disney animated property, you're going to give me Gargoyles.
Oh yes,
you got to give me Gargoyles. You got to give me Gargoyles. That's it.
Yes,
that's all I want is Gargoyles.
By the Kirby team.
Hey,
I love Gargoyles. They're one of my favorite series. All that voice talent being wasted, that properties being wasted. There could be a good Nintendo team that could really make that a great game. I think, because the art style, I would think it's more of that cel shaded or less detailed. Doesn't have to be, and they could do some really cool things. I mean, yeah.
Or another DuckTales. I loved the last DuckTales. Loved it.
Based on the new cartoon?
Yeah,
the new cartoon's great.
That they canceled.
I know, but still great. Yeah,
I loved it.
Yeah, so good.
That's how we get the next season. It's not a TV show. It's
absolutely. So I'm going to pivot, gentlemen. So I'm not going to do a Disney franchise because I'm just thinking of things like what doesn't get enough love, and I'm going to geek deep in my geek. And one of my favorite franchises was a sci-fi original, Farscape. Farscape is essentially a ragtag group of misfits. This was before Guardians of the Galaxy got together and just had to wreak havoc. They were weirdos. It was like Buck Rogers, but completely different, but still. And they just had wild adventures, romance, and craziness. And I want the team, not the current team. I want the BioWare team that made Mass Effect 2 to make this game. And if you have never heard of Farscape, it is just a fantastic series. The Jem Henson Creature Lab made all of the puppets, and Rigel is fantastic. There's a guy. It was a really cool dynamic. I love it, and I think that Mass Effect developer team and what they did with creating a universe and combat and space exploration and all those choices and dialogue trees would work wonders for that franchise. So Farscape, check it out. Just watch What You Missed or a trailer for Farscape. It's such a cool series, and I miss it so much. Oh, well.
Yeah, I wish they would have finished it instead of canceling it.
Well, they brought it back into that weird wrap-up. Did you ever watch that, Keith?
No, I did not.
Okay. They did basically a 2-part movie, and they did finally give it its ending. But yeah, it was a little bit not awesome as I wanted, like just an extra season. Oh, well. I'll take it. Last one on Nintendo. And I know we got a couple of these games, but they've all sucked. I want Avatar: The Last Airbender to get a real game, and I want the Platinum A team, not the Platinum team that when they're not working on their passion projects does. I want the real Platinum team to make this game. I love Avatar: The Last Airbender. It's one of my favorite franchises, one of the best worlds in fantasy and sci-fi of all time. And I love it. So I want them to do it. And I think it could be so awesome because it's such a cool game with all the different bending of the different nations, the cool combat, the enemies. The story's already laid out. It's complete. Just develop that in a way that's respectful to property. Bring your A-game developers and make that game.
Cool.
All right. Well, that is it for the show, everyone. Please tell us, though, on social media, those franchises, Disney, whatever you want, DC, maybe a decent Game of Thrones game that we never got. Tell us who you'd like to make it and how you think it could appear on a console. Should it be an exclusive? Should it be all the should it go out to everyone? Let us know, and don't tell us you want it on the GBA. Just don't do that. Oh well. But with that, Keith, it's been a pleasure, man. Tell people where they can find you on the interwebs.
So you can always find me and my crew over at the Outerhaven.net. You can find me also on Twitter at ShadowHaxer, or just call my name in the middle of the night. Though it sounds kind of creepy, I might appear in your mirror. Just don't say it 3 times.
Do you have a symbol that people put in the night?
It's kind of like Batman. I had it first. He stole it from me.
Son of a gun.
Well, excellent. Check out Keith and all the things he does. They have an awesome website, reviews. They have an awesome podcast, and he will keep you straight because me and he are old wise heads. So we can tell you all about the glory and the bad days of old video games.
I think gamers got it too easy. They don't realize how good they have it right now.
For sure.
Yep. If you've never played a Commodore 128 game, you have no presence in regards to how long you had to wait to play a game because you could make a sandwich before it loaded. Oh well. Well, with that, once again, thank you, Keith. Mark, as always, it's a pleasure, my friend. And anything you're doing where people should check on you in the social webs? Anything new? Some dad puns?
Oh, well, I'm always good for some puns or dad jokes. You can follow me. Twitter, I guess, is the main spot, or Instagram. And I think it's the same: Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, wherever you can find me at _Canardian.
And you've been having some awesome guests on Holocron Chronicles.
Yeah.
So even though I tell you to call it the Holochronicles, because I think that's... because you took it because you don't want it to be called that. I know it's true, Mark. You can't make you lie. But
a show called the Holochronicles, and I tried to start a little gang war against them on Twitter, and it didn't work super well. They're apparently nice, which is infuriating.
It's better than they're mean. They put a hit on you.
No, it's good. Yeah, no, Holocron Chronicles is great. We're having fun over there. And this week we have Star Wars Visions coming out on Wednesday. And
I cannot wait for that
entire thing. It's not like
week.
Yeah,
what?
No.
It's one drop?
Wednesday.
Don't do that. Don't do that. I want something every week.
I know.
That seems to shortchange it.
So our guest next week is Brian from the show, Star Wars show Pink Milk. And I was talking to him today, and I was like, did you know that they're dropping every episode? And he was like, I had no idea. So we're both kind of freaking out that we have so much to watch on Wednesday and try to get it in before we get it spoiled. So if you don't see me on Twitter like Wednesday and Thursday, it's because I'm going media blackout while I try to watch this damn show. But next week's episode hopefully will be full of visions and fun. And Brian's going to be a fantastic guest. I love their show. So look forward to that one. I don't think I've that's the first time I've dropped that information that's our next guest. So look forward there. But it's a fun time to be a Star Wars fan, despite some frustrations about platform preferences.
Absolutely. Well, excellent. This was a great episode, guys. Check us out on the interwebs. You'll hear that at the end of the show where you can reach us. But with that, as always, it's always better to game together.
This podcast is part of the Secret Friends Unite podcasting network. Visit secretfriendsunite.com for more great shows, articles, news, reviews, and more. Secret Friends Unite podcasts are available on Apple, Google, Spotify, and other podcast services around the world. If you'd like to be part of the conversation, you can join us on Facebook or our new Discord server, or follow @SecretFriendsU on Twitter. Please subscribe to Secret Friends Unite on YouTube and visit our merch store at tpublic.com. Just search Secret Friends Unite. Thanks for listening.